On the 26th, got to go to the combined communication meeting over at the sheriff's office. They did the election of officers. The 27th, I got to go to the snowman stroll down at the Bunning Freight Yard. They had, I believe, 6 or was it 8 new snowmen. It was a lot of people down there. The art was wonderful. On the 28th, I went to the box art committee meeting at the chamber, and I want to put out there that they're getting ready to work with Pacific Power on some new boxes, so they'll be putting out the word to local artists for submissions to put on the some of the power boxes around town. On the 29th, got to go to the job fair at the Holy Spirit Catholic School. That was great. They had 2 little groups, older, I think it was 3rd to 6th graders, and then the littles, they called them the kindergarten through 2nd graders. Going around talking, we had the fire department, the police department, I think the veterinarians, we were there. The most popular job that these kids were looking at, they all wanted to be firemen or veterinarians. So we shouldn't have a shortage of any of those in the coming years. Yesterday, I went to the agenda meeting, and this morning I went through here at City Hall with a program-based budgeting presentation in the mayor's office, and it looks like it's something that looks really good for the city to work on the yearly budgets. I think it's going to make it more transparent and based on priorities. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councillor Malonis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I've had a pretty busy 2 weeks also. I see we made statewide news. Thank you all. Good job. Good job. So the usual, I talk to my constituents, Zoom meetings, Old Timers Civic Center, government meeting. Some new stuff I'm working on is economic development, tourism, and outdoor recreation. I checked out our mountain bike trails, and there's about 4 miles worth at the college, which I was kind of surprised about. And they tell me it's very casual, relaxing, and fun. It's right in town and with easy access. And then there are about 21 miles of mountain bike trails over at Wilkins Peak. And they tell me those are really awesome. You know, I've rode motorcycles over there, but not mountain bikes. So if you want some more information on that, contact the Sweetwater Mountain Bike Association. You know, spring is coming. Bikes are really hot, especially e-bikes. Also, Commissioner Jones is involved with the Wyoming Trails program. So I'll be getting a hold of him and seeing what we can promote around here. I'm always studying health and wellness, and my number one nutritional tip is controlling your blood sugar, your insulin, and your pancreas is where insulin comes from. Too much sugar is toxic to the body. But the most interesting thing I ran across lately is the weight loss drug Ozempic. It works by signaling the pancreas to put out more insulin. It works good until it doesn't. It wears out your pancreas, then you're in big trouble. So I say be very, very careful if you're using Ozempic. You could die. I also studied Nick Rayner. Remember him? He's the one that murdered his parents, sliced their throats. And Jordan Peterson, he's a famous Canadian scholar. Both were on psychiatric drugs with very bad endings. So be careful getting on and getting off psychiatric drugs. Please, please, please study nutrition. Also, gut health is very important for mood and immune health. Your gut is 30 feet long and starts in the mouth. So oral hygiene is very important. I was talking with my dentist about going to the schools and talking to students about taking care of their teeth. He has some great ideas and said he would talk to his association that he belongs to and see what can be done. Maybe we can even slip in some nutritional education while we're at it. And finally, my 84-year-old friend, who was a Reliance prom queen back in the day, Let me tell you, she hit it hard. She smoked, she drank, she ate terrible, but she had a lot of fun. Now she can't hear, she can't see, she can hardly walk. Last week, she tripped over a vacuum cord. They say she broke her hip, but what really happened was her femur snapped. Your body needs calcium, and it will pull it from bones to survive, making them weak and brittle. When you're young, you can get away with abusing your body, but it will catch up to you. Your last 10 or 20 years might not be so golden. Swing by your nursing home sometimes for a preview of coming attractions, especially at dinner. It's heartbreaking and it's eye-opening, kind of like Ghost of Christmas Future. If you don't change your ways, this is where you'll end up. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Malonis. Councillor Demas?
Thank you, Mayor. I spoke to the Kiwanis about questions dealing with being on City Council. I attended the Carry Access Award, which had a great turnout, lots of people. I attended the meeting of the Combined Communication, where I was elected secretary. I attended the opening and the reception and unveiling of the Snowman Stroll at Bunning Hall Freight Station. I attended the Holy Spirit Catholic School Job Fair, and those little kids are very intriguing. I also attended the meeting today on program-based budgeting, and that was my 2 weeks.
Thank you, Councillor Demas. Councillor Hickerson?
Over this last 2 weeks, did slow down a bit. I'm off of most of the committees I was liaison to or boards I was a liaison to, but I did join the mayor on a job shadowing event for some of the high school kids in the area, and honestly, that was pretty impressive. Most of them had good questions. One refused to say a word, but that's all right. Did come up that they were hoping maybe some of us council members and department heads maybe be willing to go up and discuss what we do with them so they could be a little more involved. So that was pretty cool. And then somewhat been working with Mary on trying to get a retreat planned right here in town, no money to the taxpayer, to see what the council's most important issues are for the coming up year. That's about it.
Thank you, Councillor Hickerson. Councillor Zadi?
The last couple of weeks, I too attended the Carries Access Awards Banquet, which is a great organization and part of the school foundation. It's always fun to be part of that. Attended an events complex meeting. I am a board member, and I was elected this year for the as secretary treasurer. Last year, I was vice president. And then this, just today, the project-based budgeting meeting, which I'm excited about. It's something we've been talking about for a few years and trying to implement, but had to get other things in place and trying to get things. It's a massive undertaking to try and get everything together, and it's exciting in that it will be much easier to communicate to the public what's spent where, how, and why, and prioritize, and what's our prioritizations and why, which we should see that probably, I think we were talking about a year or so as we start moving forward. So something really, to me, it's very exciting from a budgeting standpoint, and that's kind of all I have right now.
Thank you, Councillor Zadi. Councillor Hanson?
Thank you, Mayor. On January 21st, I attended the Castle Rock Ambulance Center, did a groundbreaking up on Gateway Boulevard. It's good to see them moving forward and progressing. On the 24th, I also went to the Carry Access Awards, and I can confirm that they did have a good turnout, and it is a great cause for foundation scholarships for the local students and stuff. So that was a good one. On the 28th, I went to a URA meeting, and they're kicking off a new program called the Downtown Business of the Month meeting. Downtown Business Month, where they're going to try to promote the downtown businesses and make that a program that they can use. I'm on the planning committee for that. Young at Heart, I had a couple meetings. One is a QAPI meeting, and I knew someone would ask me what that stands for, so I wrote it down. Quality Assurance, Performance and Improvement. It's for their home health care. It's part of their ongoing certifications that they have to do and go through. Also, we had our regular monthly board meetings. I dealt with the local business concerns on a possible code violations and tried to help and work that one through. Lots of people with opinions on our city flag. Of course, my phone and emails were very busy with those. A couple nuisance properties were addressed up in Ward 4 area. As far as upcoming events, I want to put a shout out this Saturday. Everybody, especially if the weather holds up as good as it has been, there's a lot going on. They've got the Jackalope Jump out at Wichita Park at 10 o'clock in the morning. They've got the Red Tie Gala for the Hospital Foundation fundraiser. That'll be out at the Events Complex. That starts at 5 o'clock. The Broadway Theater has a mountain film on tour. It starts at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $10. It's got several short documentaries on outdoor adventures and human spirit. Looks like that'll be a really good, cool thing to do also if you got that going on.
I'll be there to MC it.
Pardon me?
I volunteer to MC.
Oh, and so there's the MC, good. And of course, Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not saying who I'm cheering for. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Councillor Pedri.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, the last couple of weeks, I was out of town, and I flew out of the Rock Springs Airport for the first time since the terminal was all put together, and very impressed, first-class operation. So I was delighted to see how all that came together. And talking about downtown, took my kids to a small place called Brush Crazy. It's a little pottery barn down on Broadway, and they got to paint and get their pieces of art blasted, and now they're at our house. So it's a really nice business to take kids to, or adults, and experience that. The blood drive, Rock Springs and Green River, raised about 700 pints of blood, a little over that, so that's fantastic. And the J Foundation, they were able to hand out 173 pairs of boots to students and staffs. And I'd like to give Amber Lee Beardsley a shout out. She's the lead admin on those projects, so she's really doing a lot. And the next event that's going to be kicked off is called Love Local, which is similar to Make-A-Wish Foundation, but it stays with people within our community. So they're going to be starting that, looking for donations and families to give back to within our community. Randy touched on the Red Tie Gala this weekend and all the other events that are coming up. So I look forward to the coming weekend, and I'll give it over to Eric.
Thank you, Councilman Pedri. Councilman Bingham.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, everybody. So, whoops, that's my entrance music right there. So, on Wednesday, January 21st, I had an Sweetwater County Outdoor Recreation Collaborative committee meeting. And one of the things that I brought up, Councilor Malonis brought up the mountain bike trail system. Randy Dale, for those who don't know, was Dr. Dale's husband. They've moved from the area, but he spearheaded that trail system up there. And then I assisted from the county side of things with him on that. One thing that kind of got left out that we discussed is parking is an issue up at the college with this trail system. We put the trailhead right there at the parking lot where they do that commercial semi-truck training. So there's a little bit of a conflict there. So looking at some options, whether it would be coming in from Gateway, a potential option, or that other access road on the other side there to see if that's a possibility. So there are grants available through that. There's a trust with the state, with Parks and Rec, that's a possibility, but just throw that out there. Of course, it's up to the collaborative to decide what they want to do with that, but great project and great opportunities for Rock Springs. On the 27th, I attended what was called a Sweetwater County Power Generation Co-op planning meeting. And it's been brought up in discussions in council and such as the issues of power and electricity, and it's definitely an issue with mostly our larger industry. I work in economic development, and so we've lost some leads of data centers due to the lack of available power and then also the price of power here. So we're just looking at some options there, possibility of what we can do in the future. Of course, it's a very long-term deal, but and then finally, just monitoring some of the legislative bills that are coming through that affect planning and zoning, because I am involved with that over at the county level, and we'll plan accordingly. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman Bingham. For my part, we continued our work of doing the videos on how Rock Springs works. We met with the civic and recreational centers, the city museum, and the police department. So it has been a really wonderful opportunity for the public to understand not just sort of the depth and scope of services that are provided to our community by the city, but also to see the people who actually do the work. Of course, I continued my meetings with our department heads, the Legislative Leadership Committee meetings with the Wyoming Association of Municipalities. Those are weekly. And at the conclusion of the one this morning, they indicated that they would be sending out what essentially is a white paper for us to distribute so that everyone can provide their feedback. Councilman Hickerson and I had a very good time with 5 young ladies from the high school's Academy of Public Services who came to Job Shadow. They were all of them concerned that all of the mayoral photos represent only guys. So I told them they certainly have an opportunity to change that in the future. We've had several radio interviews and discussions in a way to hopefully help engage more of the community. Carries Access is probably one of my most favorite events that I get to attend, not just as mayor, but as a citizen of Rock Springs. Larry Fusselman started this to help support kids who want to participate in extracurricular activities that are not traditional. And so it is a way for them to access the money that it takes to participate in those and stay engaged in our community and in our schools. I've met with the UMWA, and I attempted to meet with the IAFF, but I showed up super early, so I'll be going to meet with them tomorrow. And then I was able to attend about half of the Sweetwater County Power Generation Co-op Planning meeting. It is certainly an opportunity for multiple levels of government and industry to come together to try to find a solution to a very challenging issue for not just our city, but our county, to try to come up with a way to find affordable power so that industry can expand. I had a really wonderful time visiting with a class at Eastside Elementary. It's always amazing to me how curious and open and insightful kids are. In this particular group were brought over, they were in 3rd grade, and happily for the first time ever talking to an elementary class, no one asked me when we can get a zoo. But there were requests for a trampoline park. So if anybody watching would like to provide a trampoline park, I've been assured it will be busy dawn till dusk, 7 days a week, all year long. And then we met with AML to update the work that they're doing in our community in Bunning Park. And things are progressing very nicely. And due to the weather, they're hopeful that they can get some things done ahead of schedule. And they are also wrapping up their assessment of the soil quality down at the Civic Center, as had been requested. I was able to meet with several new full-time employees, which is always a great opportunity for me to be able to interact with them in a relaxed environment and sort of just have that time where they can interact with me in a little less formal setting than here. I did meet with representatives from the OTCC as we continue our collaborative work with them and trying to give them the opportunity to find a path forward for the Civic Center. And as always, we had quite a few constituent meetings and phone calls. It is really a very beautiful thing when you look out, even as a community of our size, at how complex the system is and how well it works for people. When we look at other countries and the challenges that people face in them compared to what we face here, we are just exceptionally fortunate. As we move forward with project-based budgeting, I'm very excited, not only for our department heads and city council and myself, but also for the public. This really becomes a solution to the challenge of how do we intelligibly communicate the budgeting process and tie the allocation that the council does of taxpayer dollars to outcomes. So hopefully this tool will provide that clarity in a way that is helpful for everyone to understand why we do what we do. And of course, we are moving into the legislative session. This is a budget session, and we are anticipating lots of interesting things happening during it. So that is something that I hope everyone is tuned into and paying attention to and providing feedback to their legislators. And then finally, we continue to work on economic development. There is certainly a role for government to play in that process, especially in a county that is not just rural, but is actually frontier due to our size and population density. So that is certainly good work, and it has been a busy and enjoyable 2 weeks. So that concludes our council updates and brings us to the consent agenda. First up, we have the City Council meeting minutes of January 20th, 2026. We have an attorney-client legal memorandum from Richard W. Beckwith, City Attorney, regarding the confidential procurement process. We have a letter from the American Legion Archie Hay Post 24, thanking Mayor Mickelson for a personal donation to the Buckets for Veterans Christmas fundraiser, and a thank you note from Black Butte High School regarding a personal donation made by Mayor Mickelson. A memorandum from Merchant McIntyre Associates regarding a partnership review and 2026 planning, and a memorandum from Matthew McBurnett regarding the discontinuation of the city's electric vehicle charging station. I would like to hold item C under correspondence. And other than that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Zadi. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries unanimously. I would now look for a motion to approve item C of the correspondence on the consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilor Zadi.
I'd like to move to approve item C.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. I just wanted to highlight for everyone, in the event that people watching are not as excited to open up our correspondence and read it, Merchant McIntyre has been an incredibly fruitful partnership for the city. And with their coordination and work with Representative Hageman's office, she has been successful in allocating $5 million to the city of Rock Springs to address the Bitter Creek mitigation. That is a huge win for Rock Springs, and we certainly are very appreciative, not only of Merchant McIntyre's work, but particularly of Representative Hageman's willingness to show up for our community and help us move forward with dealing with the floodplain issues that were caused by the Bitter Creek relocation. Is there any further discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Zani?
I just want to point out that within that, as a result of our partnership together, Rock Springs has enjoyed what will likely be a 22-to-1 return on investment. Well, that just goes to show how helpful they have been in helping us secure some of the funding that we have.
That is certainly an enviable number. I don't really know many situations where you get a 22-to-1 return. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to presentations and proclamations. And first up, we have Senator John Kolb with a legislative budget session update.
I can follow directions yet, Mayor? And I hit the button. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having this opportunity to speak about the upcoming session. As you know, it's a budget session, a short session, and it requires a 2/3 introduction for any bills to be discussed as either Senate or House in introduction. So I came here to, I guess, hear what my council has to say in the city that I live in. And as a senator, the city that I as a major representative in the Senate, that's part of my job. So I'd like to hear from the council and the mayor about where you folks are at and what are your concerns about. And I have a list of topics, but I think I'll let you speak first, Mayor, and ready when you'd like to ask a question.
Thank you, Senator Kolb, and we certainly appreciate you taking your time to come visit with us, and not just for us, but also for the public. I think my overall assessment of how I feel about this upcoming budget session is nervous. There's a lot that has been discussed, and there's a lot of things that are being proposed by the legislature in general that could have some pretty tremendous impacts on the city. But as you pointed out, it's a budget session. So until we see what lives and to be heard and what sits in a drawer or doesn't make the 2/3 requirement, it's kind of hard to, I would hate to waste anyone's time and asking for effort to be put into something that isn't going to go anywhere. So that's all I have. Council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Demas?
House or Senate File 32, which deals with the 911 funding, how much money do you think, if that passes, would come to Sweetwater County, roughly?
I couldn't tell you the percentage,
You
Mayor, Councilman Demas. I couldn't tell you the percentage. It's probably done by population served, and then they split it up in that manner.
Okay.
Council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Bingham?
Senator Cole, question for you. Concerns of direct distribution is always going to be one of our concerns. So what's your feeling where things are going to kind of go with that and going into session?
Mayor, Councilman Bingham, yeah, it's been a contentious issue from the beginning because of the food tax and what had happened in the shift. I for one, favor a permanent solution for this, and to get out of this system we have where all the people in the city come down and say, hey, legislative body, we need money, and pointing out that we took away the food tax. And luckily it wasn't me, Mayor, but it got taken away. I think I'd like to dovetail something into there if I could, and it has to do with this change of property tax to 0 and increasing sales tax to 2%. First, I just say publicly that it doesn't make any sense. 2% does not make up for the amount of property tax the state takes in, besides the multitude of problems that we may get because, we will get. One of them is how do we then get the money back, right? What's the mechanism? How's it really going to function? It's not enough money. I think, frankly, some of these folks probably didn't do well in school and math, and the numbers don't add up. So here we sit, and we're trying to deal with things that are, not true. But the challenge is how do we muster up enough people? Number one, to kill an introduction, so we're not wasting time on it. And if it does make it through, somehow get rid of it, because it's a bad solution. Anyone who understands the property tax and what it does and how it does it, let alone special districts that are affected, and we can go on. There's a lot to talk about here, but I fear that change would lead into what we're talking about now with direct distribution. And how do we do it? How do we resolve that problem? Do we just give you folks part of the permanent sales tax, right, and be done with it? Frankly, I think a lot of people like to see people come down and say, oh, please, can you give us some money this time? I don't think that's the right way to run government. I'm one voice in there, and I'll continue to say what I'm saying to you in the Senate. But I think we have to look for a long-term permanent solution, I guess is what I'm saying. And whatever that goes to, then we'll discuss it. As the mayor mentioned, you never know what's going to come up or not come up. I don't have the bandwidth I'm not that smart of a guy, right? I'm good with single topic, one at a time. And so we're going to see how it goes, but I'll just ask the issue about backfilling of property tax loss. We had a big discussion about that and the pros and cons about why we're doing it, why we should do it, or why we shouldn't do it. So I'd like to start that off, and I'll just say that I was not in favor of back funding, and I can tell you it's because it's just going to delay the inevitable. If we cut our services to the point where you folks can't supply fire, police, road maintenance, right? That's the core of the issue. Not shifting the subject over. It's the thing is how low can we go, right? I mean, I believe government unfortunately grows, right? I think we all understand that. But what do we do to be reasonable? And I guess that's the conversation, Mayor and Council, is what's reasonable? What are we going to do that will let us be able to continue and be fair to the taxpayers? And that's my question. But other people's questions are, no, we're not going to tax anything. We're going to go to zero. And we're going to come up with some ridiculous 2% that we're going to increase sales tax. And somehow that's going to cover the cost of the property tax change. I would also add that charging people for sales tax while they're receiving, services for their home, which is what we're talking about, is basically unfair. How can you increase sales tax and then those people don't own property? So then why is that fair? Why is that a good solution? I guess is my position on this. But just this is the brink of the session starting. So in totality, I guess I still would like any topic you want to bring up, Mayor, Council. I guess I'll probably regret saying that, but I'll try to do my best in fielding those questions. And I won't bring up chemtrails. So just to be clear about that.
Very good. Council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Zadi.
I guess, and then backfilling, what's frustrating to me about this whole thing is it seemed like when we're talking about property taxes, one of the arguments was we're charging too many mills, and districts and cities are taking too much money and socking it away, and we're not spending it wisely. But then there's an acknowledgement of, oh yeah, you're going to lose services, now we got to backfill it. I mean, they're talking out of both sides of their mouths, which is just maddening to me. I look at some of the bills that are proposed here. One, it's a House bill, but it mirrors Proposition 13 in California, which pretty much has wreaked havoc on affordable housing in that state, and I just can't imagine it do any different here. And you look at the wording of these bills, and they just make things so much more complicated. It just baffles me. And the pushback that we've seen on this from the public, it doesn't seem like anyone's listening at the state level. And now they want to take away our voice with WHAM or the county associations and things like that. And I just extremely frustrated.
Mayor, Councilman Zadi, acquisition-based property taxation, is that what we're talking about? I think that's the crux of the California
And then a
boondoggle.
1% limit, I can't remember, but it's...
Well, it's what it does is, just so people understand this concept, it basically freezes, at the extreme, it freezes the price of the property acquisition. And it sounds okay, I guess, when you first talk about it. Sure, that seems like something, man, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. But the reality is it causes people not to move. Because when the price of your house escalates, you can't afford to move. So basically it causes stagnation in the entire marketplace with housing. And then when someone moves in, then they get whacked with the super high current value instead of the acquisition-based value when they purchased it. So basically it stops the normal motion from, a starter home to an intermediate home to a nice home or whatever home you want to end up with. It stagnates that because they can't afford to move. That's why it doesn't work. And frankly, I haven't seen much that works in California that I agree with. So I'm happily against this, but because of the facts. And then for them taking away your ability to basically hire people to represent the municipalities or the Wyoming County Commissioner Association, same issue. That's up to you folks. The voters vote for you. And if they don't want you doing it, guess what? They won't vote for you. Property taxation. If they don't like the mill levy you have, and they decide we want to do something different, then they can run and replace all of us, and change that tax base if they so want to. But people like to take the easy way out, right? The legislature, in all our infinite wisdom, we are going to make the decision for you, which I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to understand a lot of things when I make a decision, but I'm not going to all of a sudden decide that I know so much more than any of you know. We got to work together on this business, whether we agree on certain subjects or not. The fact of the matter is, as elected representation for the people, we have to talk to each other, right, and convey it. And then we go from there. But if we don't talk, guess what? I certainly don't know. I failed mind reading. I know. Ask my wife. I'm not very good at that either. So that's kind of the reality, Mayor.
Very good, and we certainly appreciate the perspective. One of the basic tenets of our approach to government is that most local government governs best, and so I appreciate your commitment to that idea. And sadly, I will be one of the people in Cheyenne begging for money. So if you've got a sack of it somewhere, we'd like some money for Bitter Creek, among other things. Just throwing that out there.
Mayor, Bitter Creek is something that I had worked on with Councilor Stith. We tried a couple different avenues. I'm very pleased to hear tonight that you've had some success on trying to mitigate that problem for all the things that it means to the community. I think that's a great win. This is the first win we've had in a very, very, very long time from the history and where we're at today in the year 2026. So I'm very pleased that happened. That's some good news I didn't expect, Mayor. But if you'd want to, I don't know if there's any gaming issues you want to talk about local control. I'll just say, as chairman of that task force on the Senate side, that we got 4 bills out that went through Management Council. And the most important one is local control. For you to decide to agree or disagree with the issuance of a gaming license, and then have a mechanism that's clear about how you work with the county, which everybody agreed to. I think it's been well thought out. It's gone through fairly well, and I think it's certainly ready to be discussed. So that'll be my number one priority. Not to say it's not my only priority, but I think it's important that we get that behind us so we can work on many other issues, say just in the gaming world, besides personal legislation that I'm going to try to run. And if you let me take an opportunity, I'd just like to say that after the incident in the Clarion, when those federal folks, the ICE officials, were blocked or had issues, I asked for a bill draft that would make it a felony for people to use their vehicles in a manner where they were basically impeding your travel, your ability to move. And that would pretty well go for anybody, but particularly for law enforcement, because we can't have this. I mean, my opinion, we can't have this. I was so motivated. I talked to you, Mayor, thank you for your time, about just what happened, how did it happen, what people knew, what they didn't know. What I know is people don't have the right to block your travel with a vehicle. You can't use it as a mobile blockade. So I look to stiffen those penalties up and make it a 5 to 25-year penalty, a felony, for doing such a thing if convicted in a court of law. I just think we're not Minnesota, and I know we're not Minnesota, and I'm proud to support law enforcement peace officers, no matter who they are, because they're trying to do the right thing and they're people. So I just wanted to add that. It's kind of a new thing that popped up. I wasn't expecting to do any of this. I didn't think we'd had to do any of this.
We weren't expecting it either.
No, and I know you weren't, and I think we did what we were supposed to do. You did what you were supposed to do. The PD did what they're supposed to. Only so far we can go without any more information. I can tell you Senator Nethercott is working on another bill that does something similar to enhanced penalties for interference with law enforcement, only because of, I guess the local nationwide issue we're facing. And, Rock Springs is a great community that I love. I live here, and I want it to be a good place. And I know you do too, and I know the council does. So if any input on that, I haven't got it introduced yet. It's still in bill draft form, but I can tell you I've got an LSO draft that I am working on. And any input from you folks, the council, I'd appreciate it, because this is to help us as a community. So we remain a community that I like, that I want to live in.
Certainly, from my perspective, both as mayor and as a resident of Rock Springs, I just want to say thank you. I don't know if the council has thoughts on this, but my thought would be that the most appropriate person to give you feedback on that would be Chief Ernst Palmer. But thank you. Council? Councilor Hickerson.
I have one question, not involving the Clarion incident and all that, but on Senate File 64, it talks about bringing 30 million more into the Wyoming Housing Fund, or revolving loan fund. Is that to help with the low-income housing issue we're seeing, or I don't know much about it, so could you educate me a little bit if you could?
Mayor Mickelson, Councilor Hickerson. I believe it's referring to the WCDA loans, low-interest loans. I believe that's what it is. Bill numbers, there's hundreds of them, Counselor. I don't pretend like I can go, yeah, that's a bill, whatever, it's doing whatever. I believe it's that. And to that purpose, I'm supportive of that. I think it's a good thing that we do that to help out that group of people. And there's a limit to things, right? There's a limit. We didn't talk about the business council yet, but which is a whole nother subject. But in that regard of pumping in more money to that fund to allow people to the ability to buy a home for the first time, I'm in favor of that. You got to pay the loan back, though.
I agree.
That's
Council?
Your Honor? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Senator Kolb, you briefly touched on skill-based games. I see, not to reiterate, but SF0046 looks like it's going to control as far as where they go. Are there going to be any additional regulations of the existing machines that are in place?
if you have the bill draft in front of you, Mayor, Councilor Pedri, exactly. There's many of these bills. Is that sponsored by Management Council?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of my bills that came out of our committee. Skill-based games, that was in response to the Smith's grocery store situation, which I think if the mayor and council doesn't know, they pulled them out permanently in Rock Springs. Skill-based games, which are those games. That gets them out of everywhere that doesn't serve alcohol. So it is a bit of a change. The bills, that bill could change, right? And where they go or where they don't go. And clearly the majority of people that I speak to, they don't want them in a grocery store, number one. At the very least, they're restricted to the liquor footprint of the liquor store, right? To the actual place where the liquor is being housed and sold, limited to there. They would have to give up floor space. It would be their choice if they did that, to put these machines in there. I don't personally think it's a good idea. I'm not going to die on that hill, as they say, over this. I think we need to be clear and restrict them from going into grocery stores that are basically the area that's licensed, because we changed the law to allow restaurants to serve in areas beyond where they had the liquor, so that it was broadened up. Well, smart attorneys figured this out and said, hey, you can say this whole place is a liquor store. Hence the reason why they got put into the Smiths. Because they figured, I'll just call it a loophole. No one ever intended for this to happen, but it did. And as usual, when you don't have good legislation with holes in it, people figure it out. So at the very best, we're going to get them out of there. I don't know why I would want these gaming activities, frankly, in truck stops. I didn't vote for it. It passed the Senate. It wasn't with my vote, but that's the way it goes. You know how it is sitting on a council. And is that really the right thing to do right now? So respectfully, Counselor, we did a lot of things with gaming that wasn't well thought out. What happened was we have multiple sets of rules for multiple gaming activities, be it skill-based games, historical horse racing, or more known as slot machines, HHR. There's different connections with different type of games, but this one particular case was skill-based games. I don't know, Mayor and Council. Do you folks want these things everywhere? I mean, that's really the question at hand. Where do you want them? I mean, it's kind of good you're talking to me because it was something that I led, and one of the bills was that. But the purpose was to get them out of the grocery store, and it kind of broadened up into getting out of the entire liquor store, that liquor establishment that doesn't sell liquor. It may change though. All it takes is one person to make an amendment in the House or Senate, and then we're dealing with it, and it'll have an outcome. I can't tell you what that is though, because of 63 House members, or excuse me, 62 House members and 31 Senate members. I'm not in the House, so forgive me if I don't know a lot about them from time to time. But it could have an outcome. At the very least, if it gets introduced and makes it that we clearly state they can't go inside our grocery store, for lack of a better word, it has to go in the liquor store proper, or you're out of there. Unless Mayor, Council, you think differently about this. I mean, I'm here to listen to what you have to say about this.
Gaming, from my understanding, is a situation where someone left the barn door open and the horses all got out. And so I appreciate that you guys have rounded them up and are trying to put some restrictions back on it, because we were way behind in regulating them. And certainly I don't think anyone wants to see a situation where every other business is a gaming establishment like has happened in other states. And I don't think that the public is generally aware, that these establishments by and large are not Wyoming businesses, right? They are funded out of Nevada, and it will just serve as a financial drain on the state. I mean, that money is not, while they are required to give us some payment, when you look at the impact on the community, when you look at the financial impact on the community, we certainly appreciate that you guys are putting some guardrails in place to prevent what otherwise could have become a real mess.
And to the end about skill-based games, we do have a local operator, Jenkins Music here, and they are good operators. But they're in state, right? They're not a Vegas run outfit. But they're doing skill-based games. The problem we have is we have no uniformity in how we develop the gaming in the state. It started off being a situation trying to promote live horse racing, which is what the historical horse racing machines do. Unfortunately, there's no fixed percentage. That goes back to the purses for live horse racing. Coming to find that out. And the money that goes back to the government to be redistribution back to you, 1%, I don't know if that's fair. How's that sound? I don't know if that's fair. My word to the gaming folks was, the intention is not to put you out of business. The intention is to be fair. Make sure that you survive, we survive, and basically, in my mind, we don't get taken advantage of. But and to the gaming institutions or facilities being all over the place, the gaming industry is consolidating. It blew up, and now it's consolidating. And the direction that we've suggested is, make it a destination. Make it like Evanston is, and the multiple facilities in Cheyenne, and not just a refurbished bar somewhere where it turns into some gaming place, right? And I think their response. Actually, I'll just say what I had asked them. I said, "We need you to do this. You do not want the legislative body to make these rules, because I can assure you, the outcome is not going to be what you want. So why don't you just figure it out for yourselves?" And we'll be done with it, right? The industry should try to solve their own problem. And I'll give them credit. They're moving in that direction, Mayor, Council. How far they move, I don't know. But I think they understand that the legislative body has basically had it with this out-of-control growth. And and where we're at today. Like, what are we going to do to reel this back in again? So, and that's the goal of what we're trying to accomplish here, to make changes that work.
Very good. Council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Malonis.
Senator Kolb, thanks for coming and talking with us tonight. I'm a little offended that you said the people that don't like property taxes can't do math. I might not be very good at spelling, but I'm really good at math. And I'm not for property taxes. 67% of our property taxes go to schools. They're already overfunded. You guys are always talking about making more, make more, but you never talk about spending less. I don't know. I see on this WHAM advocacy hub, protect local government revenues. So I guess you're for taxes. And this other one, support the right of municipalities to associate freely and collaboratively. So I guess you're for, say, county commissioner associations that we fund, then they come back and fight us for our tax money. That's all.
Mayor, Councilor Malonis, misrepresentation of what I said. Number one, factually speaking, I talked about legislators not being able to do math with 2% on sales tax, okay? So don't put words in my mouth. Number two, I never said it was for taxes. I'm for running government as clean as we can with the least amount of money as we can spend to do that. That's what I'm for. Schools, glad you brought that up. The state of Wyoming, legislatively, in our ultimate wisdom, is costing the state a huge amount of money, because the money that's funding schools, which frankly after recalibration is not going to be enough. Whether I agree with that or not, it's irrelevant. The courts are deciding it and it'll go to court. We're in the midst of calculating what is in the basket of goods for schools. Not that I sit on education, but I've heard enough about the recalibration and I can probably talk a little bit about it. It's going to cost more money. The money that funds schools will come from the state, not local government. Your property taxes funded school. I think 70% of your property tax funded schools. Yeah, I could agree. I think the school funding is an issue, a big issue, probably the biggest issue we have, because it's going to cost us more money than we currently fund in the way we do it. We're going to have to cover it constitutionally. We have to pay for the schools. There's no getting out of this. Whether it's going to go through the court system, right? It's going to be figured out in court legally, and we're going to have to live with that and figure out what we're going to do. My concern is that a simpleton solution of 2% property tax or sales tax increase does not cover the differential between what the property taxes bring in revenue to what you currently receive. It doesn't work. The numbers don't work. That's my math question. And as per taxation, you need certain level of services in a civil society. I'm as big a conservative as they come. I was that way when I was a county commissioner. I still am that way. But I'm a realist. Whether I like it or not, the facts are we got to do certain things. Do we have to fund public health the level we have to fund it? I don't know. I think there's a big thing to look at there. To do it responsibly, though. So the issue is not to say, we should just cut all this funding. Well, that's not. Grown-ups don't do that. Okay, don't do that. I don't have that latitude, and nor will I ever exercise that latitude as an elected official. You get in there, you learn the facts, you learn what the reality is, and you deal with it. That is something more than saying, I just don't like something. That's work. And I think to that end, that's what my intent is. Now, if anyone wants to know anything more in particulars, you can always ask me. I'm always open to questions. But, I am a little beside myself to sit up here and talk about that pro-tax. I can say a lot of things, but I won't. I'll just say, I'll stand up here and defend what I say. You want to have a one-on-one debate with something like this? Here you have at it. Have at it. because, it's just not, it's not fair. Because I never said any of those other things that you insinuated, nor do I agree with how you say them. It's not right. Come up here to have a discussion with mayor and council about what we can do forward in the session, not to talk about anything else.
And it is largely appreciated. Are there further comments from council?
Thank you.
Yeah, we very much appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for your work on our behalf.
Thank you. And contact me if you want anything.
Yes, sir.
Anyone up here, contact me, email, text me. Text me is the easiest, but look forward to dealing with the session and look forward to having a conversation with everyone. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, next we have Devin Brubaker with the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport update.
Mayor, councilors, I promised Council President Hickerson I'd keep this under 45 minutes. I'm just kidding. All right, I will try to be quick. I know we're already at 8 o'clock and you haven't even got to the fun petition section yet. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Every time I do a presentation in the community, one of the things I like to do is highlight our team. I'm the one out here in front of you speaking about the airport, but it's really the team that I get to show up to work with every day and that I get to report to every month. On this slide here, one thing I want to call to your attention is the numbers that are behind everybody's name is their years of service to either the airport as an employee or as a board member. So our average longevity of our employees is 16.1 years, which is pretty impressive. So we're really grateful to have a great team working at the airport. Our least senior employee, you see at the bottom there, is 8 years. And our board members, your very own Alex is our least senior board member who replaced Matt when he stepped aside. But even there, we have quite a bit of experience on the board. So just shout out to the team, shout out to the board, and thank you to all of them for their service. Some quick highlights of 2025. Obviously, the commercial terminal project, small little moment in our history. Wrapped that up in 2025. We'll talk more about that here shortly. We completed our 20-year master plan. Thank you to all of you that participated in that process and the rest of the community that did as well. Every year, we get a 3-day colonoscopy from the FAA. And this past year, we passed that with 0 discrepancies. We have another one coming up in May. They don't have any advanced medication for it though, so it's not so fun. We also had a clean audit, and I want to highlight that. Shannon Lucero, who you saw on the previous slide, who's our ops and business manager, that's a testament to her and all the work that she does day in and day out to manage our finances. On top of that, this last year, if you can imagine, was very, very complicated financially for the airport, and to walk through an audit and come out of it with 0 discrepancies, no findings in a year that there was probably every reason to find something wrong with our processes was really great. We had new rental car agreements, new fuel supplier agreement, new cell phone tower. So our cell service at the airport's great, and we collect revenue off that, which is fantastic. We conducted our triennial full-scale emergency exercise, closed out all of our litigation, hosted the 48th Annual Air Race Classic, which several of you volunteered for. Thank you for that. Fantastic experience, and we won the best stop in the country. The racers voted us the best stop of all their places across the country, which is awesome. We acquired a new-to-us fire truck from the Jackson Hole Airport, improving our fire and aircraft rescue response capabilities. We acquired some new snow removal equipment. We introduced a revamped website and booking platform. You can check that out on flyrks.com. And we introduced paid parking in November to some people's happiness and to others not so much happiness, I guess. 2025 key statistics, second best year for passenger levels in the airport's history, second only to 2012 when we had two airlines, 2 destinations, and 80% more seats. We don't like to advertise that we have less traffic now than what we had, but it's the realities of small community air service and the fact that we are 4 people per flight away from hitting 2012 numbers with that much less service is fantastic. So Looking forward to hopefully another healthy year here in 2026. Best year for fuel sales in the airport's history, 518,000 gallons of jet fuel, 43,000 gallons of avgas, and that is not a rounded number. I had to double check. I can never do that again over the course of the year. And then the best year for transient hangar revenues in the airport's history. So that single FBO hangar that we built back in 2018 last year generated, and this is calendar year numbers, generated $455,992 of revenue for the airport. And if you remember back prior to that hangar, 2017, we were generating like $3,000 a year of revenue off of transient traffic. This quick chart just shows our passenger levels all the way back to 2000. You can point, if you've paid attention to the news cycle in the last 26 years, every dip you can point to a specific thing that happened largely in a global economy. Air service is impacted by it, but one thing that is resilient about air service and aviation is it grows. Since 1946, I think it is, it's grown at a 3% clip every year, even with the downturns that happen when the economy tanks or COVID happens or anything like that. Big event, obviously. Many of you were there, or most of you were there for our grand opening ceremony in September. It's been over 5 months since we moved into the facility, which is crazy to think. Opened in August, final project tally, $43.95 million, which we'll talk a little bit more here shortly. It doubled the facility in size, tripled its capacity by reallocating space in the old facility. Made the entire facility ADA accessible from parking lot to aircraft, which was not the case before. And I've heard a lot of favorable feedback from the community about that aspect alone. I've heard some folks say, I've never been able to fly my mom or dad into our local airport, and now I can because we have that capability. New utilities, we didn't just focus on the terminal proper. This was also a mechanism that allowed us to fund an entirely new gas main to the airport, which was about a $700,000 investment, and then an entirely new low-pressure sanitary sewer system that covers the entire airport property and is expandable so we can do future development at the airport. So we were able to tackle both of those key airport-wide infrastructure components underneath this project and have the federal government cover most of the cost, which was fantastic. So picture of the grand opening. That good-looking guy there, the white shirt I'm talking about, of course. And then the project financials. So I already mentioned the total project cost, but I want to highlight the 23 different funding sources. And what I mean by 23 different funding sources is there's 23 different grant agreements or loans on this project. That means there's 23 unique parameters in terms of eligibility, in terms of what can be used, when it can be used, how it can be used, how it has to be closed out. So the project, while the physical side of it is done, we will be working on this for many more months as we close out all these funding sources. You'll notice that the Federal Aviation Administration covered $26.76 million, or just under 61%. The Wyoming Business Council covered $10 million with $5 million of grants, $5 million of loans for just over 22%. Aeronautics, Wideout Aeronautics, $3.4 million. Governor's matching funds, $2.54 million. Sweetwater County, $850,000. UAll for $425,000. And the TSA for $243,000. So all in for a $43.95 million project, $1.275 million of local cash total, and that was spread over the course of multiple fiscal years. Some legislative items that we're watching as airports, the budget bill, air service funding is currently in the budget bill for $18.4 million. That funding is absolutely critical for us to maintain our air service going forward. So far, it's made it through the joint appropriations process. There's one more step in that on the 5th when they meet to approve that bill to send to the full legislature. And then obviously all of the process that happens once it hits the full legislature. So we'll be monitoring that situation. It's been a long day, sorry. We'll be monitoring that. I will be leaving Monday to head to Cheyenne, taking up residence down in Cheyenne for 2 to 3 weeks, depending how long it takes to make sure that funding gets done. Also, Wyoming Business Council, I just talked to you about how $10 million came to the airport for the terminal. through the BRC program. That brings a total of $14 million since 2013 that the airport has received from the Wyoming Business Council, $8 million in grants and $5 million in loans. And the economic impact of the airport has grown by over $20 million a year with that investment. I do want to just take a moment, if I can, Mayor, of, I'll say, personal and professional privilege. I sat in a room last Thursday with you, Mayor, and you, Councilor Bigham, and many others as we worked on that electrical co-op together. And we were graced with the presence of 4 Wyoming Business Council employees that helped us take a problem, develop a problem statement, and then identify potential solutions and basically gut check every one of those or those potential solutions and develop a roadmap to move forward. So we can be real thrilled about all the money that we can maybe pursue as part of the BRC program, but where the biggest value is, in my mind, is the fact that they will bring their staff with their expertise out into our communities and help us build local capacity to help grow our communities and help make our communities healthier. So just a huge shout out to the Business Council. Hope the legislature does not defund the Business Council. We're watching Public Records Act modifications, YDOT funding, local government funding. There's a bill to quadruple the liability limits for local government, which would be devastating to our insurance rates, and multiple other issues there. We got Wyoming Homestead Program that has to do with selling state property for residential use. Why are airports worried about that? Well, there's some state parcels right next to our runways around the state, and if we sell state land to build houses right next to runways, that's problematic for airports. So it's something we're watching. Data privacy government entities is another bill we're watching, and as the senator shared, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds more that we will actively be working. Some quick air service updates. I'll try to breeze through this pretty quick, but as you have been around the state and maybe talked with some colleagues in Campbell County or seen in the news, there's been some good news out of Campbell County with their air service and how they have left the capacity purchase agreement program, meaning that there is no longer any risk mitigation in place, either from the local communities or from the state. And I wanted to address that because I've received a lot of questions. Why can Gillette do that? Why can't we be on that same train? Well, the reality is it's our goal. That's where we're trying to get to. When this program was developed in 2018, it was written into statute that would be the goal, that we would all get off of the risk mitigation program. However, the path's not linear. It's very convoluted, but some of the things that can happen in a community to make it happen are more butts and seats, higher revenue per passenger, which equates to higher revenue per flight segment, brand loyalty, and premium seat buy. Airlines are no longer airline or aircraft operators. They are credit card companies. They are financial powerhouses. Most of the airlines make more money on their co-branded credit cards than they do on their flying. So I am not advocating for credit card debt. I'm not advocating for that, but this is part of the reality. When an airline looks at a market, they're going to look at how many credit card holders do they have in that market. They're going to look at the credit card spend. They're going to look at that premium loyalty to the airline because that's how they make money. Flying an airplane is a very low margin game, so they want to look where they can make money elsewhere. On top of that, seat upgrades, buying that first class seat when you can, when it makes sense for you. They look at that premium seat buy, and then corporate accounts. If you're a company, local company, and you do a lot of travel, strongly encourage you to reach out to United and talk to them about setting up a corporate account, because those are things that the airline looks at when they make a decision on whether or not to take a market at risk. When we do have a market go at risk, things like improved aircraft with dual class configuration, larger airplanes, and more flights happen, and that's all happening in Gillette later this spring. And how do we compare when we look at the numbers? Well, our passenger numbers weren't that far off in the grand scheme of things. We were about 8,000 total passengers inbound and outbound off last year. But where we're really separated is our average fare. So our average fare, which is a prorated formula calculation of what we get credit for, we saw an average fare of $98.99 in 2025, where Gillette's was $126.28. So that $30 delta, and you think about 8,000 passengers times $30 delta, or plus the $30 delta on 52,000 passengers, That's a big number. And so those are the things we can do to get better service. I get that question. Why don't we have more service? Why don't we have more flights? It's a little bit more complicated than this, but this is the best I could do on a single slide to distill it down to that. A couple quick performance metrics that I think are really cool to highlight, and this is a testament to our TSA, our rental cars, our airlines, our airport staff, our facilities, just everything at the airport. So the airline does surveys of their customers. When you've flown, you probably got that email from United. Please fill that out in the future, by the way. It provides valuable feedback on our facilities. It results in a NPS score, which is a Net Promoter Score. I won't describe all that to you. Go look it up because I know we're tight on time, but NPS score is on a -100 to a 100 scale, and anything above a 0 is good. Anything above 40 is amazing. Before the new terminal, we had a Net Promoter Score 45. In the new terminal, we have a 54.3. And in the fourth quarter last year, it was 61.5. And that's really when all the construction activity largely wrapped up in the building. Airport satisfaction scores pre-terminal, 84.9. In the new terminal, we're up to 92.9. I also want to recognize our SkyWest station. They were recognized as the best station in 2025 for the lowest amount of mishandled baggage. And not just the best SkyWest station, but the best regional station in the country. So of all the different locations, which there's 300 something of them in the country, our SkyWest team was the best in the country in that metric. And then I hear often that our flights are not reliable. I get, late night messages from Mayor, is my flight going in the morning? I have control over it. Only when he's flying do I, to be clear. But no, our completion percentage, 99.11%, national average, 98.54%. Our on-time performance, the amount of time or the percentage of aircraft arriving within 14 minutes of the scheduled arrival, which is how the industry measures that, we were at 76.61%, and the national average 76.49%. So we met or beat national averages. So data, I know facts don't matter these days, but for those of you that do still respect facts, those are the facts. Our flights are reliable. Paid parking, a couple quick things on why we went to paid parking. Number one, we needed to find new revenue sources for the airport. We recognized money is tight for the city and the county, and we greatly appreciate the support the airport gets from the city and the county. But we were looking at how do we make sure that the users of the airport are actually the ones paying for the airport. And when we look at our parking lot, 39% of the vehicles using our parking lot or the passengers using our parking lot are out-of-county vehicles. So, and there are oftentimes out-of-state vehicles on top of that. It's surprising, even to me, how many out-of-state vehicles we have. And so you have a situation where your constituents that are paying the taxes and you're allocating that money to the airport, but we have 39% of our customers coming from a part of the state or part of the country that don't help pay those taxes. So it made sense for us to evaluate this. So we did some research. We understood that our grant obligations on the parking lot would expire either the summer of 2026 or when we reconstructed the parking lot, which we did in 2025. And we also recognize that parking is the single largest source of revenue for every airport in the country that charges for parking. It's no secret. That's what it is. I did some research for the airport board and found that airports that had 20 to 30,000 annual employments, which is where we fit in right now, 40% of those airports did charge for parking with an average daily rate of $8.75. The current daily rate that the airport board has decided to move forward with is $6 a day, and the first 4 hours are free. And over the next couple of weeks, you'll be seeing some press releases coming out announcing a new express pay system where you can create an account and using basically your license plate as your token to get in and get out, it'll automatically charge your card on file. And then we'll also be rolling out an annual membership program for local industry and business and frequent flyers so they don't have to pay every usage. They can just pay one fee for the whole year. So we'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks. I'm almost done, I promise. Looking forward to our projects, we're in procurement on a new wheel loader, a front-end loader for snow removal. We're in procurement for a new liquid airfield de-ice sprayer to combat more icing that we're seeing lately. We see a lot more icing than what we have in previous years, and we can't use the rock salt or any of the salt stuff that you see out on the roads. So we have to use a liquid product called potassium acetate. Very expensive product, but it allows us to stay in compliance with the FAA. We'll also be doing a design and construction of hangars and taxi lanes using our last remaining funds from IDJA. So we had some apportionment money or formula money that came to the airport through IDJA, and we'll be using the last $2.7 million of that. We will be starting design in calendar year 27 on the rehabilitation of our crosswind runway, runway 321, and in 2028 we'll do the construction. And then we have a standing earmark request into Congresswoman Hegeman. She's made it one of her 15 projects for 3 straight years. It has not made it through the appropriations process, but we're going to keep working on that to expand our apron, our general aviation apron, we're aircraft park. So the percentages you see behind each project, those are the grant coverage percentages. So that's how much of that project will be covered by federal or state grants. The remaining portion would be the local match on those. So future business that's coming your way, likely during calendar year 2026, is we have our last round of AIP apportionment transfers. If you remember, we, if you will, borrowed money from Sheridan and Laramie for the terminal project. We didn't really borrow any money from them. It was just trading their funding from 1 year for a year of ours and allocating money between airports. And so we'll be transferring $1.05 million back to Laramie Regional Airport and $245,000 back to Sheridan County Airport this year, and that'll wrap up our financial obligations to that. And then going forward, the money's ours until we do it again with another airport for another project. SkyWest Airlines agreement, I'm hoping there won't be an amendment this year, but if there is, we'll bring that forward through the county and through you guys as well. And then our airport budget request, we are well on our way to having a budget proposed to the airport board. We're working to find a path to reduce it compared to the current year, keeping up with the trend that we have for several years outside of our one bad year with legal fees. We're facing headwinds, though, because we do have the new terminal debt service. That's $194,000 a year, and we do not have the big carryover that we have had in prior years. And then a key component on how we get to self-sustainability here and how we get you a reduction is our ongoing airline lease and operating agreement negotiations. That'll play a big role into what our financials look like. And the last slide, why we do it. $59.3 million a year in annual economic impact, supporting 336 jobs and $15.28 million in annual payroll. Every dollar that's invested in air service in the state returns $7.60 in direct ROI. There is no multipliers there. There's no induced impacts, no indirect impacts. That is a direct return on investment. Also at the airport in 2025, we supported 87 aerial firefighting missions on 27 fires, and we supported 474 air ambulance flights at the airport. So I tried to find a couple key data points that might resonate with not just you all, but the community of what the airport does. It's more than corporate jets. And when I first got hired here 11 years ago, I heard the word that we're a country club for rich people. I can assure you that is not the case. So... And with that, Mayor and Council, happy to answer any questions. I was a minute and a half quicker tonight than I was for the commission, so
We appreciate your diligence. Full disclosure, I would like everyone to be aware that I am solely responsible for that 0.89% failure of completion. Anytime, I don't even know. It is just...
You should publish on the city's Facebook when you're flying, so nobody else does those days.
I would not want to do that to your ticket sales. No, in Devin, I appreciate the amount of credit that you give to your staff, and they certainly do wonderful work. But it would be appropriate for us to take a moment to thank you for your leadership with the airport and for its growth and the contribution that it is to our county and our city. You do absolutely outstanding work. And it's really not that bad when I fly. I promise. It only happens every now and then. I don't fly that much. No, we very much appreciate and understand that you are a driver behind this growth and these changes, and thank you for your work.
Appreciate that.
Council? Councilman Zadi.
Kind of wanted to echo that. I know we ran into some bumps with the terminal, COVID and other things, but your hustle and dedication to get the funding and find the funding to complete this project is very admirable, and I appreciate the work that you did to get that done.
Appreciate that.
Council.
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson.
thank you for keeping it short-ish. I'd like to see that ROI a little closer to 22 compared to 7.6 for future reference. Thank you.
Very good. Council.
Mayor, if I can, I appreciate the accolades, but they are deserved to the board, the staff, and I got to put it back to you all as well, the council and the commission. May of 2024, with about 8 days' notice, I came before you all and asked to have you back basically $22 million of risk on the terminal project. And I still today do not know why in the hell you did it, but unanimously the commission and the council voted yes to back that while I went to find other funding. And I can tell you every conversation I had with the Business Council, with the FAA, with YDOT, with the governor's office, every one of those conversations, the response was, we can get behind this because your local governments got behind it. Had we not gotten that yes vote back in May of 2024, we would not be standing here today talking about a successful terminal project. So thank you to all of you that were serving back in May of 2024 for your support, and those of you that weren't, I know you were still supporting us, so thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Devin. Okay, that brings us to our public hearing this evening. We have a public hearing on 3 applications for transfer of retail liquor licenses by Maverick Group LLC, doing business as Maverick number 5057, Maverick number 5059, and Maverick number 5286, located at 1806 Elk Street, 1549th Street, and 3910 Foothill Boulevard in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and go to petitions and public comment. First up, we have Doug Gresham. Sir, if you'd please approach the podium.
I promise it will be a lot shorter than last time I spoke before a governing body like this was right before I became a police officer. So kind of bear with me if I seem a little nervous and a little jittery. My name is Doug Gresham. My wife and I reside here in Rock Springs for the past 30 years and have been married for going on 30 years and counting. Unfortunately, she is not here to join me. She's going through some considerable tooth pain, and she said that she would rather deal with childbirth than tooth pain, so enhancing what Council said over here. But I'm speaking to you this evening in the new ordinance put forth before you concerning the new setback requirements ordinance 2026-2. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening. Excuse my having to read what I've written down before you, but want to ensure my words were chosen well and well thought out with respect before I spoke. Before I begin, I want to emphasize to you in no way am I attempting to sway you in either direction. This evening, considering new regulations that are being presented before this body on the new setback requirements, but rather it is things that I hope you will give pause and consider before your ruling. I am a military veteran and have served 2 different communities as a police officer, so I'm well aware and respectful that I was sworn in not to only abide by, but to uphold laws and ordinances. It is not lost upon me, though, that ignorance is no excuse for not knowing. But most of our community simply does not know the setback regulations regarding structures and or sheds. By possibly passing this new regulation will allow homeowners not only to become aware that there are new guidelines pertaining to pre-built or built structures or sheds, but also keep them from having to either tear down or move the structure already in place and bear the cost for removal and to rebuild. I took the liberty of driving around town for a considerable amount of time with my wife, and I took note of nearly over 65% of people who are currently not in compliance with the current setback rules. Just putting it simply, don't have the room. As you're well aware, the properties today on the houses are built bigger and the lots are much smaller. Not having the needed space for even the smallest of sheds, it's been brought to my attention that possibly the Planning and Zoning Office is short-staffed and does not have the budget in policing homeowners to ensure that they are in compliance and adhering to these setback rules. but by passing these new regulations will allow our community to avoid such costs in relocating and or rebuilding up to and including the expense by the owner of having to hire a surveyor to confirm property lines at the average cost of $3,500. These open hearings not only educated me and possibly our community, but also bringing an awareness to concerns in our community. Going forward with this proposal would possibly allow these homeowners who would otherwise not have the needed room to secure a shed, but be in a position to possess and enjoy the extra space for those items collected over the years, in my case, 30 years of marriage and home ownership with precious perishable items that possess sentimental meaning, that have been passed down, or in the event of a death in the family that has also been passed down for safekeeping, to preserve the memories of loved and lost. Again, I want to thank this governing body in considering on this ordinance before you today and allow me to speak at length. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Gresham? Okay. Thank you very much for being here this
Thank
evening.
you.
Our other public comment this evening is Laura McKee.
Mayor and councilors, I wanted to chat about, we had talked, previously about we were going to do some budget. We were going to look at the budgets and go through each department and look into the budget. Now, you had mentioned tonight something about a tool, so I'm not sure if that's where you're going with that, because the only video I saw, unless I missed it somehow, was the one on the mayor and the council.
Yes, ma'am. It turns out our budget is the simplest to relay. And as I met with department heads and tried to sort out how we could do this in a way that would convey the information in a meaningful way, it became very clear that as the budget is currently presented, that would just be me reading the budget. And I'm not sure anybody, unless they're having trouble falling asleep, would benefit from that. And so we had been working on the program-based budgeting, and in meeting with them, that really is the tool that will allow us to do that in a way that is helpful to the community.
And so do we know like a timeline, with the upcoming legislation, we have things coming up, that are going to be voted on, and taxes, and there's a lot of things. So do we know, because and also we're going to be working on another new budget, right? Like coming up very soon here, so.
Correct. And we are working through that process. Okay. And it is kind of it's a situation where we don't know what we don't know until we know. And so I don't want to commit to a timeline that I won't be able to honor. Okay. But as soon as we can get her done, and we'll certainly be announcing it and making sure that people are aware.
Okay. And I had one other question. So this year, obviously, we're not having a lot of snow removal expense. So is that coming out of the streets department? Is that where they do the snow removal, or what budget item does it come out of? And then is that money saved? Because sometimes we have a year that's extremely bad and we spend a lot of money on snowplow.
So, knock on wood, that we get snow where we need snow and not in town. We had invested in the supplies and materials that we would need to mitigate snow on our roads, and we've not had to use it. We would be able to use that next year, so there would be an adjustment in the next fiscal year to reflect that we have those things. And then, of course, it was last fiscal year we purchased a new plow, and I know that our mechanics have been keeping everything shipshape. So yes, the savings this year would then result in an adjustment to next year's budget, assuming that spring doesn't, trick us all.
Right. But basically saying that we still have the same amount for each year, and some years are really bad, which puts us in a deficit, right? So
if you recall the 3 winters ago where we had all of that snow, we had to move funds to purchase more materials because we had more snow than we had predicted. And then obviously this year has been just wild.
Yeah.
So that should be helpful. And those are, when we complete the budget, it's our best estimation, and then we have to adjust it based on what actually happens.
Okay. Looking forward to the budget, because that'll help everybody, I think, to understand things a lot better. So,
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Okay, that concludes public comment, which brings us to bills and claims. First, we have the Rock Springs Housing Authority bills and claims for February 3rd, 2026. Council, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Rock Springs Housing Authority bills and claims for February 3rd, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Hickerson. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining, which brings us to our bills and claims for February 3rd, 2026. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for February 3rd, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Thompson? Thank you. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to salaries for January 22nd, 2026. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for January 22nd, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Hanson. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Counselor Thompson abstaining. That brings us to new business. First up this evening, we have a request from the Administrative Services Department for approval of 3 applications for transfer of retail liquor licenses by Maverick Group LLC doing business as Maverick number 5057, Maverick number 5059, and Maverick number 5286, located at 1806 Elk Street, 1549th Street, and 3910 Foothill Boulevard in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Council, do we have a motion?
Move to approve this request, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to fill a vacant irrigation specialist 1 or 2 position in the Parks Division. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Thompson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Malonis?
I just have one question. Is this a year-round job?
Your Honor, Council Malonis, yes, this has been an established full-time position for ever, or as long as we've had a Parks Department.
What do they do in the winter when we're not irrigating?
So this personnel is part of the 480 MOU that we have with our union. So they build up hours over the summer and then slowly leak out over the winter. They use those hours and just time off. But when they are scheduled in rotating fashion to cover snow events, if that occurs, because of the light winter we've had, they've been working on projects here and there, and everything from equipment maintenance to any needed planning and preparation for the summer.
Okay, cool.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to a request from the Engineering Operations and Public Services Department for permission to bid the 2026 overlay, 2026 concrete replacement Phase 1, and the 2026 crack seal Phase 1 projects. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Pedri.
I move to approve this request.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Demas? Thank you. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Malonis.
do we have a list of all those projects that they want to do? We want to do this overlay, replacement, crack seal, actual locations?
Your Honor, Councilor Malonis, we put those projects together and they haven't been put together yet. We do a street evaluation according to ASTM standards, and then we determine which roadways need what type of maintenance, whether it be overlays, patching, crack sealing. Same way with concrete replacement. We go through either homeowner list or determine what roadway pavement, curb and gutter, sidewalk needs to be replaced. But no, those projects have not been put together yet.
So how can you bid them if they're not put together?
We're asking permission to bid them, but they have not been put together yet to go to bid.
Interesting. Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to a request for 3 malt beverage permits from Brody McJunkin for the 2026 Bud Cup Men's Hockey Tournament on March 27th from 4 p.m. until midnight, March 28th from 10 a.m. until midnight, and March 29th, 2026 from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Rock Springs Family Recreation Center Ice Arena. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson.
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final item of new business this evening, a request from the Rock Springs Liquor Dealers Association for approval of the 2026 all-night dates. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve this request, Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson, do we have a second?
Second.
Councilor Zadi? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries unanimously. That brings us to resolutions. First up, we have Resolution 2026-09.
A resolution accepting and approving a fireworks production contract with Fireworks West International and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve Resolution 2026-09, and I look forward to it.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bingham. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson?
just as a reminder, how much was this contract for last year? To the people. Jeez.
I got excited. JJ, if you would, sir.
This is the same amount as last year.
Thank you.
We are trying to do some fundraising through our See My Legacy platform, which we'll try to expand a little bit to see this contractor is willing to work with some level of late additions here. So we're going to try to see if we can get the community to come out and see if we can expand it for the 250th anniversary. So we'll hopefully have some success there.
Thank you.
Very good. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2026-10.
A resolution amending the official land use map of the Rock Springs Master Plan from HDR, High Density Residential, to LDR, Low Density Residential, a piece, parcel, or tract of land located in the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 36, Resurvey Township 19 North, Range 105 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, Rock Springs, Sweetwater County, and being more particularly described as follows. Yeah.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-10.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bingham. Is there discussion?
I think he needs to read that whole thing.
No. No, thank you. Hearing no actual discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final resolution of this evening, 2026-11.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement to provide professional services with Sunrise Engineering for engineering, design, and construction surveying for the Rock Springs Bitter Creek Restoration Segment 3 final design, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs to execute said agreement on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Petrie.
I'd like to move to approve Resolution 2026-11.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there discussion?
Your Honor.
Counselor Malonis.
Do we have complete plans for Phase 2? Already?
Your Honor, Counselor Malonis, no, we do not. That is, segment 2 is what the Hageman funding is going to go towards. This was a brick grant that would only design, no construction for segment 3. So that if we do get available funding in the future, it would be, as people say, shovel ready.
Okay.
Do we have a cost on, I guess, so then we don't even have a cost on segment 2 then, do we?
Not at this time, no.
So we're gonna have to get plans to do that before we can use Hageman's money to fix it?
The design is part of that funding.
Do you have kind of a rough idea what that segment's gonna cost?
I do not. But my assumption is that the level of funding that we did get will not totally complete segment 2.
Probably not even close, barely do the engineering work. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion.
Your Honor,
Counselor Hickerson.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Kalsich for providing us with the basic score sheets that we are legally able to see. Thank you as well, Mr. Beckwith, for chewing his butt to do so.
Very good. Further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. And that brings us to our ordinances. We have two this evening, the first of which is on its third reading, so we will look to take action, and the second of which is on its second reading, so we will take action at our next council meeting. Matt, if you'd please take us through ordinance 2026-01.
An ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Rock Springs from R5 to the zoning designation of R2 for a parcel of land locating land totaling 0.609 acres and located in the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 36, Resurvey Township 19 North, Range 105 west of the 6th Principal Meridian in the city of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Bingham.
move to approve ordinance 2026-01.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Matt, if you'll please take us through.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Bingham,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Malonis,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Okay, the ordinance passes unanimously. Matt, if you'll please read us 2026-02.
An ordinance amending Chapter 157 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Zoning, Section 157.132 entitled Setback and Height Encroachments, Limitations and Exceptions, subparagraph C entitled Inside and Rear Yards.
Thank you. Council, do we have any discussion of this ordinance as we will look to take action at our next meeting?